is a thread by Carlos Azueta for Bill Whittle. For Bill Whittle, I'd like to address your self-described thin skin when it comes to conservatives criticizing you for your supporting of how we've dealt with COVID-19. All the people calling you and me sheeple were too stupid to see just how far Obama got as the first American dictator. Your critics brag about their guns and patriotism, and they're totally unaware of just how lawless Obama and his administration were. I spent months compiling a list of 188 major, unconstitutional and or illegal acts Obama and his lackeys committed. Unfortunately, the guy who said he'd publish it hasn't done so. But Obama was the successful beta test for American dictatorship. Nobody did anything to stop him. Obama didn't even issue executive orders or presidential memos. He simply told his minions to do something, and they did. Hillary would have continued the precedent of governing by fiat. Every single Democrat candidate for the 2020 election promised to bypass Congress and the courts. So governing by fiat is now standard operating procedure for all future Democrat presidents. Guns don't matter. We'll be the first dictatorship with an armed population. Obama followed in the footsteps of Erdogan. The Turkish armed forces were the bulwark of secularism. Erdogan replaced all military leaders with Islamists. Obama replaced everyone with radical leftists. They destroyed the armed forces from within. During the Obama years, the Air Force had to scavenge spare parts from static museum displays. We needed 2 more AC-130 gunships. There wasn't enough money for 2 World War II era 40mm cannons. So the Air Force scavenged gunnery ranges for long obsolete M42 Dusters used as targets. The guns are handed, so they needed to find 2 Dusters, which they did. They refurbished the guns, and that's how we got 2 more AC-130 gunships. All of the people accusing you and me of being sheeple are totally unaware that Obama implemented new laws that Congress had rejected, and the Obama DOJ ignored Supreme Court rulings. This was the plan. Everyone would keep their guns because they don't matter. When the government gives itself the power to take whatever it wants from you, a gun won't stop them. The Obama DOJ confiscated small businesses, using the pretense that the business had made too many bank deposits just under $10,000. No prosecutors involved. No judges. No laws were broken. The business owners had to spend years in court, only to go bankrupt. Did anyone with guns come to their defense? Of course not. The gun people were too busy fantasizing about redcoats. The Obama DOJ filed spurious lawsuits against banks. The banks settled by making donations to La Raza and other radical organizations. When Congress banned federal funding for Acorn, Obama funded them anyway, little by little. All our institutions were being destroyed. In the end, we'd have had the Soviet Union, except that the population would be armed. There would never be coups because the armed forces were already gone. There would never be insurrections because the people with guns were blind. We were within 1 election of losing the country forever. So the people criticizing you are in no position to talk. I was ready to bug out. Having been born and raised in a third world country, I knew where we were headed. My brother and I were scouting places all over the world. Then Donald Trump came along. Your critics need to get on their knees every single night in thanks for Trump. After his second term, the Democrat Party in its present form will be gone, one way or another. But Hillary was going to finish the job. We both know she would have gotten 2 terms. Remember, plenty of the people criticizing you still don't support Trump. They are as unreachable as the worst social justice warriors. Trump is already the best president we've ever had. His trick is to hide his accomplishments, the real ones. Unlike your critics, I researched Trump from all angles. When I was done, I knew we were saved. I'm not even nervous. Trump kept the records of 550 businesses in his head. There's an article from the New York Times from 1984 that's listed here that you've got to read. Link in the description. I said long ago that there would be no black swans for Trump, and he proved me right. You hit the nail on the head. The danger of COVID-19 is that our entire medical system would be gone to treating the infected. My father was in the ICU 4 times. It was always the quietest place in the hospital, with 80% of the beds empty. COVID-19 would have meant up to 3 million ICU patients. Our medical system would have collapsed. Those of us who survived wouldn't have gotten medical care for 10 years. So forget your conservative critics. They wouldn't know a power grab if it sat on their faces. It did sit on their faces for 8 years, and they ignored it. Then Hillary would have sat on their faces for another 8 years. Muffled voice, sure glad I got my guns, why can't I breathe? Lots of people have to be written off. Trump is separating the wheat from the chaff. We are wheat. Take care, and happy birthday.